Hey guys, tonight we slip into someone else's life, literally. You open your eyes to candlelight and a scent you don't recognize. Beeswax, rose oil, and something faintly coppery. You're in silk, lying stiff as stone, while mourners shuffle around you whispering prayers like you're already gone. And no, stabbing that prince wasn't exactly in the plan. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where and when you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You don't scream, but only because your lungs won't cooperate. Your body, tall, slim, unfamiliar, refuses to move. And when a tear drips off a lady's chin onto your wrist, it startles you more than the whisper. God rest Lady Evelyn. That's your name now. Evelyn, a noblewoman, dead, or not. Someone leans in close, lips brush your brow, his voice so low you almost miss it. You said you wouldn't leave me again. Charming, romantic, absolutely unhelpful when you're trapped in a corpse that's apparently not ready to stay buried. The wake concludes. The mourners vanish into velvet-draped corridors, and still you lie there, stiff as wood. It takes hours for sensation to bleed back in. Fingers first, then your tongue. When you finally sit up, candles have burned down to stubs, and the only witness to your miraculous undying is a gray cat curled on the coffin lid. She blinks once, judgingly. You manage to croak one phrase. Well, that's going to confuse the priest. You steal a cloak, ransack the nearest vanity, and get a first proper look at your face. High cheekbones, dark hair, and a small crescent-shaped scar above your lip. You don't recognize her, but something about the eyes, your eyes, makes your stomach turn over. You remember dying. Not here, not now, but beneath a peach tree in springtime, bleeding out while someone sobbed your name. You had a different name then, one no one here would know. That night, you hide in a linen closet and wait. Castle servants whisper that Lady Evelyn was buried wrong, that perhaps she made a deal with the fog witch who lives beyond the marsh. They've begun leaving rosemary bundles on windowsills and sleeping with daggers under pillows. Because in this region, a girl who returns from the dead isn't a miracle, she's a bad omen. The local superstition is if someone dies with a broken heart, their soul walks back home in someone else's skin. You're trying to make sense of it all when you see him again. The man from the funeral, the one who kissed your brow and murmured like you'd done this before. He's dressed in riding leathers, tall, weather-beaten, the kind of handsomeness that comes from too much responsibility and not enough sunlight. He sees you and doesn't flinch, doesn't shout, just says, "You look better than last time." You don't have a clever reply because your heart is pounding too loud to think, because now you recognize him. He was there, under the peach tree, holding you, whispering your name. You don't remember his name, but your soul does. It surges up like a swallowed sob. You push past him and flee, because even in a fairy tale castle with talking cats and cursed portraits, this is too much. You lock yourself in what used to be Evelyn's chamber. The bed is massive, all pale blue silks and iron posts shaped like thorny vines. A fire burns in the hearth, crackling like it has something to say. And as you curl beneath the blankets, you feel a pull. Not in the body, deeper, in the soul. Someone loved you, someone lost you, and someone isn't willing to let you go. You dream of things that never happened to Evelyn, dancing barefoot on marble floors, dueling a knight beneath a blood moon, kissing someone by candlelight and calling him the wrong name. And just before dawn, you wake to a sound like footsteps in your room, but no one's there. Only the scent of peach blossoms drifting through a window that should have been shut tight. Maybe you're not the first to come back. You don't open the door until the third knock. Not because you're afraid, though fair, you did wake up inside a dead girl's body, but because you're trying to decide if you're dreaming, again, or still. But the voice that filters through the heavy oak is unmistakable. Deep, warm, with that practiced calm that warriors and liars share. I brought breakfast, or at least a peace offering. You crack the door. He holds out a tray. Bread, soft cheese, some kind of dark berry preserve, and a small bouquet of lavender. You arch an eyebrow. Trying to court me or exercise me? He gives the barest smile. Both. You let him in. He introduces himself as Sir Alaric of Warnwick, sworn to House Thornwood. You're still wrapping your head around your new name, Evelyn Thornwood, when he asks the question you've been avoiding since you saw him at the funeral. Do you remember me? You mean to lie. It'd be easier, but your soul gets there first. I remember dying in your arms. The tray wobbles slightly in his hands. So it is you. Neither of you say your old name aloud. You're not even sure you remember all of it. Just fragments. And the feeling, sharp and endless, of being unfinished. Alaric sets down the tray and takes a seat near the hearth. He doesn't touch you, doesn't press, just watches like he's afraid you'll vanish. He swore you wouldn't come back, he says, softly. You snort. You swore you'd protect me, so let's not pretend promises meant anything. He doesn't argue, just nods, like he agrees. Like he's been agreeing for over a century. He tells you things you half remember. You were lovers once, in another life, during a war where loyalty meant blood. He was a knight even then. You? A healer, maybe. Or a spy. Depends on the night. You died young, violently. And he never forgave himself. I tried to find you after every life, every century. But I never recognized you. Not until now. Because I died before you did, you whisper. Outside it's spring, but the trees still wear the weight of winter. Through the window, you see a lone peach tree in the courtyard. Bare-limbed, bloomless, but hauntingly familiar. You ask him how you died. He says, stabbed by someone you trusted. You bled out under that tree. I held you, but it wasn't enough. You nod slowly. So, why am I back? He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he pulls something from inside his cloak. A necklace. Simple leather cord, threaded with a bronze coin etched in an old dialect. He passes it to you without comment. The moment you touch it, memory flares like lightning. Rain. Screaming. A promise made on your knees. If you ever return, I'll find you again. You drop it like it burns. There's a custom in this kingdom, a superstition, that coins can carry souls. Lovers who die tragically often bind a token to their final breath, hoping it will find its way to the one they left behind. Most call it superstition, children's tales. You call it insurance. You slip the necklace over your head. Fine. Let's say it's fate. Let's say I'm back. What now? He meets your eyes. His are tired, lovely, heavy with history. Now we finish what we started. Before you can ask what that means, a bell tolls below. He stiffens. There's a council. Your father's returning from the borderlands. He doesn't know you're alive. You shrug. Technically, I'm not. He laughs, and it's the first real laugh from either of you. A little bitter, a little breathless. Then you'd better be convincing. As he turns to go, you call after him. Alaric, do you know who killed me? He hesitates. Then, not yet, but I will. The door closes behind him, and for a long moment you stare at the peach tree beyond the frost-glazed window. You do remember love. Wild, relentless, dangerous. But you also remember pain. And maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to survive this time either.
The peach tree calls to you. Not metaphorically, not in a dreamy, nature is healing sort of way. No, it literally calls to you. You hear it whisper at night, soft as silk. Come back. And by dawn, your boots are wet with dew and your fingers stained with bark, though you never remember leaving your room. So you stop fighting it. One morning, early, before the castle stirs, you wrap yourself in Evelyn's old riding cloak and slip through the servants' passageways like a ghost who knows all the hidden doors. You do, somehow. The courtyard is hushed, mist curling around your ankles. The tree stands alone in its garden bed, bare branches twisting like old bones. No fruit, no blossoms, just silence and waiting. When you touch the trunk, the world stutters. Your breath catches, your knees buckle. You're not here, you're there. Then, a past life surges up like a rogue wave, images too fast, too bright. A red dress, muddy boots, a voice yelling your name. Alaric, sword drawn, eyes wild. The taste of metal in your mouth, and finally, the peach tree. The last thing you saw. When you come to, you're on your knees. The bark has left lines across your palms like lifelines drawn by a drunken prophet. Behind you, footsteps. You spin around. A woman stands near the hedgerow, elderly, hooded, face weathered by 100 winters. She carries a bundle of herbs and the kind of gaze that makes you wonder if she's ever blinked. You remember too much, she says simply. Do I know you? She gives a thin-lipped smile. Not in this life, but your soul and mine have met before. Oh, great. Forest witch, just what I needed before breakfast. She steps closer and tosses a sprig of yarrow at your feet. You walk at the edge. The veil's still thin for you. You'd best be careful. Memory is a door, and sometimes what comes through isn't you. You fold your arms. Why the warning? Because love isn't always enough. Sometimes it's the very thing that kills you. Charming. She turns and begins to walk away, but calls back over her shoulder. Ask your knight about the orchard, what he buried there. You want to yell after her, could you be a little more cryptic? But she's already gone. You head back inside before anyone sees you barefoot in the fog, hugging yourself like the cold could seep through more than your skin. That afternoon, you confront Alaric. He's in the stables, tightening the girth on a massive black stallion with a temperament
that clearly mirrors his riders. You watch him for a moment. Strong hands, steady movements, the way he calms the horse with a single murmur, and your heart pulls in a way you wish it wouldn't. You finally ask, "What did you bury in the orchard?" He freezes, slowly straightens, doesn't turn. After a long silence, he says, "Your name." You blink. "What?" He says, "I carved it into the tree after you died as a grave marker." Your breath catches. "That tree?" He nods once. "Peaches were your favorite. Said they reminded you of summers without war." You lean against the stall door. "So what happened to the grave?" He finally looks at you, and in his eyes is the ghost of that other life. It bloomed once, the spring after, then never again. You almost tell him about the witch, about the memory, about how every time you get close to the tree, something inside you flickers. But then, a page arrives with news that your father, Lord Thornwood, is 3 days away, which means 3 days until you have to face a man who buried his daughter and might not take kindly to her sudden return. It also means 3 days until the masquerade. You find the invitation later that evening tucked into a velvet envelope with a wax seal shaped like a serpent eating its tail. Very subtle. The royal court is hosting a grand masquerade to celebrate the end of mourning for the late queen, who, you suspect, is about to be replaced by someone younger and far less dead. Evelyn's name is on the guest list, which means yours is. Alaric reads the invitation over your shoulder. You shouldn't go. Why? His jaw flexes. Because the last time we danced in a ballroom, someone tried to kill you. You pause. Did it work? Eventually. You try to laugh. Then I guess it's time we rewrote the ending. You tell him you'll need a mask, something bold, memorable. He offers a wolf. You choose a swan. Because swans look gentle, graceful, beautiful. But everyone forgets they mate for life, and they will break your arm if you get too close. That night, the peach tree appears in your dreams again. Only this time, it's blooming, and someone is standing beneath it, waiting. The days leading up to the masquerade unfold like a fever dream. Everyone has an opinion on how a noble woman should return from the dead. The seamstresses insist on dressing you in moon-colored silk, claiming white wards off restless spirits. The kitchen staff won't meet your eyes, and the castle steward still flinches when you walk into a room too quietly. To be fair, you did reappear in your own tomb. It's become a whispered belief among the lower servants that Lady Eveline isn't Eveline at all, but a cinder shade, a soul snatched back from the underworld by unfinished love. They've started leaving sprigs of juniper in your tea. You drink it anyway. It tastes like guilt and rosemary. You spend your mornings wandering the orchards with Alaric. He walks beside you like he never stopped, as if in his mind you'd only vanished behind a curtain for a moment, not for lifetimes. He doesn't reach for you, but his closeness sings along your skin like a memory rekindled. He tells you about the court, about the queen's mysterious death a season ago, and how her cousin now vies for the throne through smiles and poisoned goblets. You half joke that the castle should install an official tester for drinks. He replies, deadpan, "They did. He lasted 6 days." But it's not all politics. Sometimes he'll pause, touch a tree's bark, and say things like, "This is the one you fell out of trying to spy on me." Or, "You tried to train a hawk once. It brought you socks." These tiny confessions of your shared past, so ordinary, so tender, strike you harder than any blade. The weight of having been together in countless lives makes your chest ache with something fierce and unfinished. You want to ask him about the war, about the betrayal, about the knife that ended you. But something in you fears the answer. Instead, you focus on your mask. The masquerade is tradition, an annual court ritual in the kingdom of Viril. Legend claims it began when a duchess seduced a prince by pretending to be someone else. Ever since, nobles wear masks not to hide their faces, but their truths. It's the one night where you can say anything and pretend it wasn't you. You choose your costume carefully. A swan mask carved of pale wood and pearl with wings sweeping out from your temples. The dress is pale blue, nearly white, embroidered with gold thread shaped like falling feathers. You look ethereal, untouchable. It's exactly what Eveline would have worn, which is why it feels wrong and perfect. Alaric, naturally, wears black. His mask is all edges and shadow, something between a raven and a wolf. He offers you his arm as your carriage rumbles toward the capital, and you try not to notice how your heartbeat synchronizes with the horse's hooves. The castle in Viril is a glittering nightmare. Gilded columns, crystal chandeliers, 1,000 candles, and twice as many secrets. Music swells as you enter the ballroom, and heads turn. Not because they know you, but because they feel you. You wonder if that's the real reason for masks, so no one has to admit when someone's ghost walks into the room. You dance, not because you want to, though gods you want to, but because you're being watched. Half the court is whispering about Eveline's return. The other half wants to know if your father's grief has driven him mad enough to fake it. Alaric leads you in a waltz. His hand is firm at your waist, his breath soft at your ear. "You're still light on your feet," he murmurs. You smirk. "You're still stepping on mine." He doesn't apologize. Of course not. The night unfolds in fragments. Laughter, masks, lies passed like folded notes. You drink wine laced with rosemary and lemon peel. A nobleman in a fox mask tries to flirt, but you shut him down with a single look that says, "I remember murder, darling. Do sit down." Then, near midnight, you see her. A woman across the room, wearing a crimson mask and a dress the color of dried blood. She's staring straight at you. You don't recognize her face, but your soul recoils. You excuse yourself, heart pounding, and slip out into the corridor. Alaric follows a moment later. "I know her. I don't know how, but I do," you whisper. He frowns. "Describe her?" You do. He goes very still. "That's Lady Seraphine, the Queen's cousin." You blink. "The one who wants the throne?" He nods. "She was there. Not in this life, in the last one. She's the reason I..." You don't finish the sentence. Because suddenly, it's not just a theory. It's a certainty. The betrayal. The knife. The soft, sweet voice whispering apologies as you bled out. It was her. Your hands tremble. Alaric moves to steady you, and when his fingers close around yours, a surge of memory flares, one not yours, but Eveline's. A different night, a similar dress, Seraphine's voice like honey and rot. "You were never meant for him, cousin. Some of us are born to rule, others to be forgotten." You stagger back, because now you know. Lady Seraphine didn't just kill you once. She's done it before. And she might not be finished. You don't sleep that night. You lie in the carriage beside Alaric, the velvet cushions pressing against your back, and count every jolt of the road. The swan mask lies broken in your lap, cracked down the middle, like it couldn't bear your face anymore. Alaric sits across from you, arms crossed, eyes closed, but you know he's not sleeping either. He's doing that thing he always did, the false calm of a man who would rather bleed quietly than ask for help. You wait until the moon tilts high and silver through the window. "She killed me," you say softly. He opens his eyes. You don't elaborate. You don't need to. "She's always been dangerous," he replies, just as quietly. You narrow your eyes. "You suspected her?" "I suspected someone close to the throne, but I didn't want it to be her." He pauses. "And I didn't want to drag you into it again." You laugh, bitter. "Little late for that, knight." You reach up and tug at the coin around your neck. If she's still dangerous, then why did I come back? Why now? There's a superstition in Varel, passed down from the old mountain folk. When the same soul dies 3 times by the same hand, it shatters. No rebirth, no ghost, nothing. You remember hearing it once from a woman who baked curses into blackberry pies. She'd winked when she said it, like it was a joke. You're not laughing now. I've died once, maybe more. What if this is my last chance? Alaric leans forward. Then we make it count. Back at Thornwood, your father has arrived. You're not sure what you expected. A weeping reunion, rage, an awkward hug. What you get is a man carved from war and wine. Lord Thornwood doesn't smile when he sees you, doesn't blink, just stares. "You're not her," he says. "And yet, here I am." He circles you once, like a wolf sniffing something strange and not entirely edible. Finally, he says, "Convince me." So you do. You tell him about the time he broke your leg teaching you to ride, and you both lied about it to the steward. About the lullaby his late wife sang that only he and Evelyn knew. About the ring hidden in the 3rd drawer of his desk, the one he swore he'd never show anyone. You see the moment he cracks. It's not loud, not visible, just a twitch in the jaw, a drop of the shoulder. But it's enough. "I buried you," he says. "And yet," you echo, "here I am." He doesn't embrace you, doesn't call for celebration, but he does bow his head. "I'll announce your return. The court will believe what I tell them to." And just like that, Evelyn lives again. Which is honestly a bit of a shame. You liked being dead. It was simpler. In the days that follow, the castle hums with preparation. You're summoned to dinners, to strategy meetings, to tea with duchesses who smile too hard and ask about your time away. The word resurrection becomes something people say with polite laughter and not nearly enough holy water. And through it all, Alaric is your shadow. He teaches you how to play the court again, how to smile without showing teeth, how to move through a ballroom like a blade dressed in lace. He also tells you about Seraphine's latest move. She's arranged a pilgrimage to the old ruins in the Vale, supposedly for religious devotion. In truth, she's gathering support. You stir your cup slowly. Do we follow? He shakes his head. No, we do something better. You raise an eyebrow. We trap her? No. We outshine her. Turns out, the kingdom of Varel has a peculiar courtly custom. When two noble houses vie for power, they're often pitted against each other in seasonal displays, public shows of pageantry, generosity, and wit. Think charity galas with hidden daggers. Your father announces, without your permission, that Evelyn will host the spring offering, a sacred rite meant to bless the land and reaffirm the house's favor with the gods. It's performed in the orchard, under the peach tree. Of course it is. You try to protest, but Alaric just smirks. Think of it as a chance to reclaim your death scene. Charming. So you prepare. On the morning of the offering, you wear a gown spun with gold thread and blossoms woven into your braid. The air smells like honeysuckle and wet stone. Nobles gather around the orchard, murmuring approval and gossip in equal measure. You kneel by the tree. You speak the words you're told, something about rebirth, bounty, favor, but your hands tremble. The ground beneath you feels too alive, as if it remembers, as if it's waiting for you to finish bleeding. You place an offering, a peach pit dried and carved with runes. Alaric told you it's an old warding charm. The priest blesses it. The crowd cheers. And then something happens. A breeze stirs the branches, and a single blossom opens. Gasps ripple through the crowd. The tree has not bloomed in years, but now it blooms for you. You feel it down to your bones, a ripple through time, a message from the earth itself. You are back, and not alone. That night, as the guests depart, Seraphine appears. No mask this time, just red lips, cruel eyes, and a voice that tastes like poison wine. You're playing a dangerous game, cousin, she murmurs. You smile sweetly. Darling, I invented it. She steps closer, brushing a non-existent speck off your shoulder. Don't get too comfortable in that body. Some things aren't meant to last. You lean in, breath warm against her ear. Neither are you. She smiles, but her eyes are full of knives. And as she walks away, you wonder if maybe she's right, because something inside you whispers, you've died before, and this time, they'll make sure you stay that way.
You've always known nightmares don't stay politely in your sleep. They bleed. They curl their fingers into your daylight and whisper things behind the clatter of teacups and court gossip. And lately, they come in the form of memories that aren't quite yours, but ache like they are. It starts the morning after the offering. You wake to candlelight, flickering too fast, too frantic. The air is heavy with ash, but there's no fire, not outside, just in your mind. You see her again, Seraphine, younger, wearing robes the color of crushed velvet, her hands slick with something too red to be wine. She's holding a dagger. She's crying, but her grip never trembles. You weren't supposed to wake up. Why did you always have to be so loved? You jolt awake, breath caught in your throat, nightdress clinging with sweat. This isn't a dream. It's a fracture, a memory from another life slipped through some unseen seam in time. And it won't be the last. You try not to tell Alaric at first, but he notices, of course. The shadows under your eyes, the way you startle when someone says your name too sharply,
The way your fingers twitch near your throat as if checking for a wound that no longer bleeds. He corners you during a sword demonstration in the West Courtyard, a traditional event meant to inspire virtue among the younger pages. Honestly, it just inspires a lot of bruises and egos. "You're slipping," he says under his breath. "What, not impressed by my ghostly insomnia look?" He doesn't smile. So you tell him about the visions, the waking memories, the flickers of past deaths curling into your present like ivy over stone. He listens, without flinching. "Do they hurt?" he asks. "Only when I remember how they end." And just like that, it becomes real. Not just something in your head, something between you. Another secret braided into the long, impossible rope of whatever you and Alaric are becoming. You lean on him more after that. Not always visibly, not in ways the court would notice. But your eyes find his across rooms now, and when they do, the ground feels a little less like it's going to open and swallow you. Which is nice, because the ground's trying. Literally. You're walking through the Thornwood catacombs. Don't ask why, you were never that smart in any life. When you feel it, a pulse, like the stone is breathing. There's a superstition in the Northern Isles. Places remember pain. That's why they bury traitors at crossroads, why temples are built on bones. Memory seeps into stone, and sometimes it wakes up. This part of the catacombs hasn't been used in decades, which is precisely why Alaric thought it would be safe to investigate rumors of a hidden crypt. Not ominous at all. You and Alaric press deeper. The torch flickers, the air thickens, and then a door. Ironbound, ancient. The sigil etched on it is unmistakable. A sun eclipsed by a rose. Your house crest. But older, twisted, wrong. Alaric runs a gloved hand over it. Do you feel that? You nod. You don't say what you feel, which is yourself, behind that door. Dying. Again. It takes both your blood to open it, not metaphorically, literally. A drop each on the iron seal, and the mechanism clicks with the hunger of old magic finally fed. Inside, a tomb. Empty, but not abandoned. The walls are etched with murals. Your family history, but rewritten. Darker. In this version, Evelyn dies as a child, and again as a maiden, and again on her wedding day. Each time, Seraphine stands in the background, smiling, unaging. This isn't a tomb, you murmur. It's a record. Alaric kneels beside a cracked sarcophagus in the center. Or a prophecy. You touch the stone lid. It's cold. Colder than it should be. And then, without warning, another memory. You, screaming, bound in vines, a ritual, a circle of masked nobles, the chant, one soul, many lives, bound to love, bound to die. You stagger back. Alaric catches you. And you say the thing that neither of you has wanted to believe. She's been doing this on purpose. He helps you sit. Doesn't ask what this is, because he already knows. Seraphine isn't just a power-hungry noble. She's a soul binder, a practitioner of forbidden rites from before the kingdom's founding, someone who binds the fates of others to prolong their own. She has linked her life to yours and Alaric's, and kills you again and again to reset the tether, to stay young, to stay powerful, to keep winning. Maybe you were never meant to survive this time. But maybe that's exactly why you're here. Do you remember what the hedge priest said? The one you bribed with whiskey and bread? You blink. Which one? The one who looked at your palm and whispered, You'll have to dive a right way, or not at all. You laugh sharp. I thought he was talking about my love life. Alaric looks at you. That long, level look that could mean anything or everything. Maybe he was. You leave the crypt with more questions than answers, but one truth that shines like a blade through fog. Seraphine isn't just your enemy. She's your captor, your executioner, your curse. And this time, you're going to break her. But first, you have to survive her. Again. There's a saying in Varel, often whispered when candles gutter and shadows start to move on their own. The third time you die is the one that counts. You've died once, possibly twice. You're not feeling brave enough to ask if there were others you've forgotten. But now, with each step you take in the halls of Thornwood, that saying echoes louder, like it's counting down. 3, 2. You're not waiting for one. Your next move needs to be bold and public. You've outshined Seraphine once with the spring offering. Now, you have to outmaneuver her, which unfortunately means stepping fully into the court's glittering jaws. So you announce a masquerade. A lavish, moonlit affair in the Thornwood Glass Garden, where once, ages ago, nobles danced until sunrise and swore love under enchanted lilies. It's a risky plan, but Seraphine has always loved spectacle, and she'll never be able to resist a party she didn't plan. Alaric, of course, argues. This puts a target on your back, he snaps, adjusting his sword belt like he's already imagining drawing it. You smirk. The target's already there. Might as well give them something pretty to aim at. You choose your mask carefully. Not a swan this time. Not something soft or tragic. A phoenix. Gold and crimson, feathers curling like flame. You want Seraphine to see it and choke. The night of the masquerade arrives in a swell of music and moonlight. The glass garden lives up to its name. Gilded archways, crystal blooms that chime with the breeze, fountains that glitter with stardust herbs. It smells like jasmine, rosewater, and very expensive denial. Nobles fill the air with laughter and secrets. Some claim to see ghosts among the flowers. One duke is convinced the wine has been enchanted for lust. It hasn't. He just had 5 glasses. You enter your entrance with Alaric at your side. He doesn't wear a mask. He doesn't need one. The court parts like silk as you move through them. Some still whisper resurrected. Others say blessed. You catch the word cursed on more than one tongue. You don't correct them, because they might all be right. You find Seraphine near the Moonstone Fountain, wearing a mask carved of obsidian and lace. She looks like a statue that's about to poison you. She curtsies, just barely. Cousin, a phoenix? Isn't that a bit dramatic? I smile. Dramatic is your thing, dearest. I just thought it was time for something true. Her eyes flicker, just for a second. Then, well, do enjoy the evening. You never know which dance might be your last. And that's when the first body drops. A scream cuts through the music. A woman in silver crumples to the floor, eyes wide, lips blue. A goblet falls from her hand. The crowd panics. You freeze. Not because of the death, because she was wearing your mask. Not just similar, identical. A plant? A warning? An assassination attempt that missed? Or worse, one that didn't. Guards swarm, Alaric pushes through to you, blade drawn. "Poisoned," he mutters. "The cup was meant for you." You stare down at her, at the mask, at the way the fabric curls over her collarbone. "She looks like me." Seraphine appears beside you again, face carved in polite concern. "Oh, darling, you must be more careful." You lock eyes with her. You want to scream, to rip off her mask and drag her through every lie she's ever told, but you don't. Because now, everyone's watching. And this is no longer a masquerade, it's a battlefield. By morning, the kingdom knows that someone tried to kill the Lady Eveline, that a guest was murdered, that Thornwood is no longer a house of quiet resurrection. It's a house at war. Alaric doesn't leave your side, not even when you tried to escape to the orchard to scream into the dirt. She's escalating. She's afraid. Good. You sit beneath the peach tree, wind cool on your cheeks. The single blossom still hangs above you, delicate and out of season. You stare at it. Do you think we were always meant to fail? Every time we come back, she wins. What if this curse only ends when we stop trying? Alaric kneels beside you. No, she thinks it ends in your death. That's why she keeps doing it. But the curse doesn't belong to her anymore. You're not the girl who died under this tree. He touches your wrist, thumb brushing where your pulse beats hard and fast. You are the one who woke up. You want to believe him. You do. But something in your chest still whispers doubt. Something cracked and scared and too tired to bleed again. You say nothing. You just lean into his shoulder and watch the wind move through the orchard. The way it stirs the grass, the way it rustles the leaves. And you wonder, what if this is the last wind you'll ever feel? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better one is, what if it isn't? You spend the next morning trying not to die. Not dramatically, not tragically, just practically. Because your tea could be poisoned. Your corset strings could be replaced with strangle silk. Even the chandelier over your breakfast table groans a little too loudly when the wind picks up. It's exhausting, honestly. Alaric assigns a rotation of guards, each hand-picked, each sworn loyal to your house or his. But trust, you've learned, is a luxury. And luxuries are how people die. So you go through your day like a shadow in your own skin. You smile, you nod, you say the right things at the right times, and all the while, you try not to remember how it felt when the girl in your mask crumpled to the floor. But that night, the ghosts don't let you forget. You wake in sweat and silence, heart thundering. And this time, it's not a dream. This time, you're not alone. There's a figure at the edge of your bed, cloaked, still, watching. You don't scream. You reach beneath your pillow for the blade Alaric insisted you keep there. He called it romantic. I called it a symptom of my deeply cursed love life. The figure doesn't move. You speak first. If you wanted me dead, you'd have already tried. A beat. Then, in a voice like dry leaves and old parchment, I'm not here to kill you, Lady Eveline. I'm here to offer the truth. Well, that's new. The figure steps forward and removes the hood. It's a woman, late middle-aged, hair streaked with silver, skin marked with sigils that shimmer faintly in the dark. A soul seer, the kind banned centuries ago. They deal in fate, in time, in tangled threads you're not meant to look too closely. She bows, stiff and formal. My name is Leora. I served your bloodline before the first binding. You blink. The what now? She explains how your ancestor, Lady Thalia of Rosemere, broke a sacred law by binding her soul to another, a warrior prince, a foreigner, a man destined to die young. She found a way to keep them reincarnating together, but the price was steep. Each life, their bond would deepen and grow more dangerous. Because love, in the wrong hands, is a weapon. And Seraphine, centuries later, found that weapon. She's twisted the binding, she says, anchored it to herself. She's feeding off your soul's loop, resetting her life, extending her youth. But it's destabilizing now. You shake your head. Why now? Because this life, you remembered too much. You loved too fast. The loop cracked. The curse is unraveling. That thrum in your chest, the ache in your dreams, not just fear, it's the tether snapping. And if it snaps entirely, you ask? Her expression darkens. Then all three of you die. Permanently. No rebirth, no return. You swallow. There's always a catch, isn't there? She nods once. There's a way to sever her hold, to end the curse. And let us live? Her pause is too long. You might, she says, but it will cost you something sacred. Of course it will. You ask for time to think. She grants you 3 nights. No more. Before she leaves, she places something on your table. A bone charm carved with interlocking roses and a single bleeding eye. A ward, she says. It will keep your mind your own for a while longer. And then she's gone, like mist. You don't sleep after that. Instead, you find yourself in the west corridor, where the moonlight falls like water through the stained glass. Alaric's there, as if he knew you'd come. He always knows. You tell him everything. He listens, in silence, his jaw clenched. Then, you're not dying again. Not for her, not for a curse. You try to joke. Technically, I'd die with you. So, romantic. He doesn't laugh. Instead, he steps closer, takes your face in his hands. You've died in my arms before, he says. It doesn't get easier. You close your eyes. I don't want to go, Alaric. Then don't. A pause. Then his forehead rests against your head, and his voice is barely more than breath. Whatever the price is, I'll pay it. You open your eyes. Even if it's me. He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. The moonlight is soft, the corridor quiet, and for a brief, aching second, the curse forgets you. You lean into him. The kiss is gentle, familiar, like something practiced across lifetimes. Maybe it has been, but it doesn't stay soft, because behind you, a breeze stirs, and with it, The sound of something falling. A petal from a rose, black as ink. And in its wake, a whisper you've heard too many times now. 3, 2, 1. You don't scream. You run. Alaric's sword is drawn before your feet even touch the marble. He grabs your wrist and pulls you behind him as the echo of the whisper hangs in the corridor like frost. The rose petal, black, curling at the edges, rests where your shadows crossed. Not natural, not real. A warning, a countdown, and maybe the final one. "What was that?" he asks, voice taut. You shake your head. Something old, something watching. You don't tell him that for a split second you saw a face in the stained glass, a reflection not your own, pale, elegant, rotted at the edges. It looked like Seraphine, but older, much older. The ward Leora gave you hums cold against your skin. You clutch it like a lifeline. We need to move. Now. You take the side stairs, down to the crypt vaults beneath Thornwood, the ones sealed since your mother's time. No one comes here, not even ghosts like damp floors. But you need privacy and protection, and maybe a little ancestral magic. The vault smells like stone and iron and the faint memory of lilies. Alaric lights a torch, its glow catching on the mosaic walls, scenes of war, of coronations, of a woman in a crimson cloak holding a blade of starlight. "Lady Thalia," you whisper. She watches from her place in tile, eyes full of defiance and sorrow. You wonder if she knew, when she made the soul binding, what it would cost all of you. If she ever imagined her descendants bleeding through time like a wound that wouldn't heal. Maybe love always starts as hope and ends as history. Alaric sets down the torch and turns to you. "We can't keep reacting, Eveline. She's forcing our hand." "I know. And we still don't know what she's after." You look down. Then, slowly, you unwrap your fingers. The ward charm pulses faintly, not with warmth, but with memory. And inside that pulse, a whisper that isn't yours. The blood of the phoenix must burn to free the curse. You stare at it. "Blood," you repeat. Alamic frowns. "You're not doing anything reckless. We don't even know what that means." But you do. Because there's a legend in Virel, one only the soul seers remember. When the phoenix dies by its own choosing, it breaks every chain that ever bound it. Free will. The curse isn't about punishment. It's about control. And the only thing Seraphine cannot manipulate is your choice. Leora's warning rings back in your ears. You might survive, but it will cost you something sacred. It's not your life you're afraid of losing. It's Alaric's. You look at him now. Really look. The man who's loved you across centuries, who has bled and burned and broken every oath for you over and over. And if this curse ends with your death, but your choice to die, it might release his soul too. But it also might leave him behind. Alaric sees the shift in your expression. "You don't," he says. You smile, brittle. "I don't even know what I was thinking." "I don't need to. Your face always goes distant when you're about to do something heartbreakingly noble and stupid." You laugh, even though your chest aches. And then you say the thing you swore you never would. I think I remember how I died the first time. He goes still. The peach tree. It wasn't illness or war. I chose it. I drank something. Something she gave me. And I let myself go because I thought it was the only way to protect you. Alaric's voice is low. You can't do that again. I might have to. No. His grip on your arms tightens, but not cruelly, like he's holding together the last uncracked piece of the world. You hear me, Eveline. I'd rather live 1,000 cursed lives with you than one clean one without you. Your heart splits at the edges. But what if this is the only way to end it for good? He shakes his head. Then we find another way. You want to argue, but someone interrupts. The crypt door slams open, and there she is. Seraphine. No mask, just her, and a blade the color of blood-lit rubies. No more games, she says softly. No more theater. I gave you a chance, Eveline. I warned you. You step in front of Alaric before he can react. I'm not afraid of you anymore. She laughs. You should be. You've broken the cycle. It's collapsing, and if I can't control it, I'll end it. She raises the blade, but so do you. From your belt, you draw the dagger Leora gave you, bone-hindled, curse-bound, a relic that feeds on endings. Seraphine lunges. Alaric moves, but too late. You meet her in the center of the crypt, blades singing as they clash, and for one breathless moment, time folds. You see every version of her, every past life, every lie. You see her as your sister, your shadow, your killer. And you choose. You drive the blade home, not into her heart.
You expect pain, and it comes. But not as fire, not as blood. It comes as memory. You're falling, but not through air, through time. Every past life unspools behind your eyes like a ribbon. Velvet courtrooms lit by moonlight. Windswept battlegrounds with your hand in his. Hidden gardens where you once wore your hair in golden braids and called him my dearest crow. You see yourself burn, drown, fall, fade, and in every ending, Alaric's hands try to hold on. But now? Now the thread is severed. The curse snaps like wet silk. The recoil slams through your soul like thunder. You jolt upright, gasping, heart wild. Except, you're not dead. You blink, breath catching. Alaric is kneeling beside you, cradling you like glass. Seraphine lies sprawled across the stone floor, unconscious or worse, the ruby blade shattered, her power humming loose around her like dying lightning. But all you can focus on is him. His hands are shaking. You stabbed yourself, he breathes. I had to. You don't have to do this alone. Not anymore. I'm here. I've always been. Alaric, I press your palm to his chest. The pulse there is strong, alive, human, and for the first time, unbound. I think we did it. He stares at you, not quite believing. You lift your hand. The bone dagger lies beside you, cracked clean through, its magic blood out. The curse is gone. It hurts. Your soul feels like a house that's been emptied too fast, echoing and a little cold. But it's yours again. And his is his. That matters. The world outside the crypt seems to breathe again. The air warms, the roses that grew only in threes, one for each of you, begin to bloom in odd numbers now.
A superstition in Virel says that a rose with 4 petals instead of 5 means fate has taken a wrong turn. But if it has, you think you'll risk it. Seraphine stirs. You rise, weak but steady, and stand over her. She looks small now, like a woman, not a legend. She blinks up at you. "You'll regret this," she rasps. "No? I think you already do." Her hand twitches for the shattered blade, but Alark steps between you. "No more. You've taken enough from us." She laughs once, hollow, and then curls into herself. Not dead, not powerful, just broken. Leora appears moments later, as if summoned by the stillness. She looks at you, then at Seraphine. "It is done." You nod. "Will she live?" Alaric asks. "She will linger, but she'll never touch the loop again." You almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But then you think of the girl in the mask, the peach tree, the blade in your gut, and your pity vanishes like mist in sunlight. Leora walks with you to the upper halls. She doesn't say much, just hums an old Soul Seer's song under her breath. It's soft and low, and the words tangle like threads of a dream you once knew. Before she leaves, she presses a small paper charm into your palm. For dreams, if they get too loud. And then she's gone. You and Alaric stand alone in the corridor. You look at each other, and for the first time, the silence between you feels peaceful. "I still don't understand all of it," he says. "Me either. But it's over." You nod. He lifts your hand to his lips and kisses your knuckles slow. Now what? You think about that. About what it means to not be doomed, to live without prophecy or echo. It's terrifying. And thrilling. You say, "Now we get to decide." And the words taste like freedom. The next days pass in a quiet haze. Seraphine is confined to the northern wing, surrounded by wards and watched by the High Seers. The council decides she's to be exiled, her magic stripped, her titles revoked. She's no longer a threat. But you wonder what she dreams about. You don't visit. Not yet. Instead, you and Alaric walk the gardens. You learn to breathe again. He picks you a violet. The old superstition says giving someone one means you make my soul remember light. You don't say anything when he hands it to you. Just tuck it into your braid. It's enough. One night, you sit beneath the peach tree. The same one. It still blooms even now. You press your back against the trunk, eyes closed. Alaric joins you, quiet as dusk. You ask him, "Do you think we were ever meant to survive this?" He takes a long breath. "Maybe not. But we did." He nods. You look at the sky. The stars tonight look new. Or maybe you're finally seeing them clearly. He rests his head against your shoulder. And for once, there's no clock counting down, no shadow creeping in, no past clawing its way to the surface. Just a stolen moment that's yours. You whisper, "Will you stay this time?" And Alaric, without hesitation, says, "I always was." The castle wakes slower these days. No omens in the stairwells, no cursed petals or vanishing reflections. Just the soft creak of shutters opening to morning sun and the smell of sweetbread rising from the kitchens. You don't quite trust it at first. Your hands twitch toward phantom weapons. Your dreams still tip into strange corners, where past lives flicker like candlelight behind your eyes. But the curse is gone. You are alive. And for the first time in lifetimes, there is no hidden hourglass, no secret death waiting for your choice to become real. Just a new life, yours, to waste or treasure. Today, you choose treasure. You wake tangled in linen, wrapped in Alaric's arm, his breath warm against the back of your neck. He murmurs something intelligible as you shift, half dreaming still, and his fingers tighten at your waist. It's so easy, suddenly. Being here, being his. Did we really win? You murmur. A pause. Then, depends what we were playing. You smile. That's not fair. That sounds philosophical. He nuzzles your shoulder. Then I'll say yes, we won. You lie like that for a long time, until the light is too strong to ignore, and your stomach growls in betrayal. Alaric laughs and pulls you up, his hair a tousled mess, and eyes a little brighter than they used to be. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, and it hits you. There are no scars, not from this life, nor the others. The mark at your shoulder, the one from the knife in the orchard, is gone. You reach up, brushing your fingers along smooth skin. Clean slate. Alaric notices. Something wrong? No, I whisper. Everything's finally right. You eat breakfast in the old sunroom, the one your grandmother once swore was built on an ancient convergence point for romantic energy. She used to claim that tea made here could charm a lover into staying forever. You test the theory. He drinks 3 cups. By midday, letters begin to arrive. The council wants to name you a guardian of the cycle. The nobles want to marry you off to one of 5 entirely unsuitable suitors. The local clergy wants to canonize you. You burn most of them, but you keep the letter from the council. You think it might be worth hearing what they know about curses broken and bloodlines mended. Still, you make no promises, because right now, you'd rather learn how to live without a prophecy. You and Alaric sneak out by the old orchard path, where the moss grows thick over the steps and birds chatter like gossips above you. He picks an apple, takes a bite, and makes a face. Still sour. You grin. That's because the tree only sweetens in late summer, don't you remember? He gives you a look. I've been a little distracted for the last few lifetimes. You pluck another one and toss it. We'll train your memory yet, Lord Alaric. He catches it, but tosses it over his shoulder. I prefer remembering you. You snort. That was terrible. I know, he grins. The village below the castle is holding a festival tonight, an old midsummer custom revived now that the land feels safe again. The townsfolk dress in embroidered linen and paint stars on their cheeks. They crown you Queen of the Blooming. Alaric is crowned your consort. He accepts the title with such faux dignity you nearly trip over your own laughter. The festival superstition says if 2 people kiss under the ivy arch before midnight, they'll dream the same dream. You don't mean to test it. But when the music slows and he reaches for you with a look like you're the only fixed point in a spinning sky, you walk under the arch together. And the kiss? Soft. True. Not like a curse ending. Like a life beginning. That night, you dream of a field of golden flowers. You lie in the middle, his head on your chest, your fingers weaving daisy crowns. No ghosts, no blood, just warmth. When you wake, you say nothing. Until he whispers, "Did you make the flower crown in your dream, or did I?" Your heart flips. You laugh. You did. It was crooked. Charming. You kiss him again. A new superstition takes root in Varel by summer's end. They say that when two souls break a curse together, they're immune to all others, that even fate cannot touch them without asking permission. You don't know if that's true, but you hope so. Because this time, you don't want to forget. You want to age, to argue about firewood, to kiss in kitchens and mourn the loss of sweetbread when someone forgets to light the oven. You want years. Alaric takes your hand one morning and says, "We could leave." You blink. Where? Anywhere. No fate chasing us. No courts to please. We could live by the sea, open a bookshop, or raise goats. You stare. Goats? He grins. They're loyal. You laugh so hard you nearly drop your tea. But then you nod. Let's do it. You leave 2 days later. No guards, no declarations, just a trunk of books, a box of herbs, and the two of you wrapped in early autumn. Seraphine watches you from her tower as you go, her face unreadable. You offer no wave, but in your heart, you wish her silence, peace. Not redemption, that's not yours to give, but stillness, sleep. Maybe that's enough. You take the road east, and for the first time in 1,000 years, the wind behind you feels like it's carrying you, not chasing. Your new home smells like salt and thyme. It clings to the walls of the cottage, to the breeze that snakes in through the half-cracked shutters, to the cuffs of Alaric's sleeves when he returns from the hillside with bread and gossip. You've traded marble for mortar, silk for wool, and secrets for silence. And somehow, it fits. The villagers call you the book couple. No one can quite figure out where you're from, though a few guess royalty. You let them believe whatever makes their smiles stay warm. You keep your surname vague. You call Alaric your partner in chaos, and he calls you his compass. You almost want to curse him for that one. Except, he's right. The land here is quiet. The kind of quiet that seeps into your bones and pulls tension out like thread from a ripped seam. You hadn't realized how much noise your past lives carried, how loud prophecy could be, how even love could echo too hard. Now, it hums, soft, steady. You open a bookshop in a converted granary. The superstition in this village says paper absorbs memory, so old books are often left out under the moon for dream cleansing. You keep a tray by the door for that purpose. A child once asked if your books whispered. You told her, only when no one's listening. She comes every Tuesday now. Alaric keeps bees. No one expected that, least of all him. He got stung 7 times the first week and swore he was cursed again. You made him tea and told him to stop trying to flirt with insects. He claims they like him now. You think they tolerate him. One evening, you catch him outside whispering to the hives, telling them about the time you once fell through a mirror and landed in a dimension where love was illegal and poetry burned. You laugh until your ribs hurt. He grins. I miss the drama. Do you, though? He pretends to think. No, but I miss the way you looked with a dagger. You're a menace. I'm yours. He kisses you under the ivy that's begun to grow across your porch. A few petals float down. The local superstition says when ivy drops petals on someone's head, it's because the house itself has fallen in love with you. You name your cottage Orella and begin talking to her like she's listening. Maybe she is. One night, as you watch a storm roll in across the sea, You turn to Alaric and ask, "Do you think she remembers?" "Who?" he murmurs, his chin on your shoulder. "Seraphine." He's quiet for a while. Then, "I think memory's a mercy, only when the pain has purpose. Otherwise, it's a prison." You wonder if that's what your past lives were. Each death a new lock, each love a new key. But the cage is gone now. You think about visiting the capital once, when a crow-shaped letter arrives from Leora. She writes in swirling script, "The council sleeps now. We live softer lives. Thank you." You fold the letter and tuck it under your pillow. You dream of her that night, older, smiling, a violet ribbon in her hair. She offers no prophecy, just peace. A local man tries to court you at the harvest market, not realizing Alaric is standing right behind you holding a basket of pears. You wink and say, "Sorry, taken. Lifetimes, actually." Alaric puffs up, "Bound across realities." The man walks away quickly. You spend the rest of the evening arguing over who said it first, "Bound across realities" or "Lifetimes taken." You both pretend to win. It ends with you eating pears and kissing under the stall's canvas as rain begins to fall. Autumn fades. Winter arrives like a sigh. You find new rituals, candles in every window, cinnamon in the bread, beeswax for your boots. Alaric insists on bringing in a branch of pine for every room as to ward off cabin spirits, according to one of the villagers' grandmother stories. You don't question it. You like the smell. You like him walking around with snow in his curls and a pine sprig tucked behind his ear like it's a crown. One night, you sit by the hearth and say, "We've died in winter before." He nods. "But not this winter." And that simple answer settles something in your chest. You whisper, "We're safe." He pulls you close. "We're free." Later, you find an old diary in the back of your shop. It's hand-bound, pages yellowed, ink faded. Inside are dreams, dozens of them, all written by someone unnamed. One page reads, "He came to me with eyes like thunder and asked if I remembered the orchard. I lied. I remembered everything." Your fingers tremble. You stare at it long enough that Alaric has to touch your shoulder. He reads it, then says quietly, "It was one of you." You nod. He presses his lips to your temple. "She made it. You made it." "I think we all made it," you say softly. You place the diary on the shelf labeled "Unfinished Stories" and leave a candle lit beside it. That night, you dream of a girl with a mask of gold. She stands on the edge of the sea and drops it into the tide. It doesn't float. It doesn't sink. It vanishes. You wake up smiling. The days lengthen again. You measure time now by light and laughter, by how long Alaric stays out with the bees, and how many customers stop by the shop asking for books about love, storms, or ghosts. Those three categories now have their own shelves. Some mornings, you wake before him just to listen. The soft hitch of his breath, the small twitch of his fingers as he dreams. Sometimes he smiles in his sleep, and you wonder if he's reliving one of your past lives, or if he's dreaming a new one. You don't ask. Not everything needs answers anymore. Spring festivals return to the village with flower garlands, maypole dances, and something called the wishing cup, a tradition where you write down your secret hope, drop it in a wine-filled chalice, and take a sip under the moonlight. Superstition says if your wish was real, the wine will taste like honey,
If it was false, it'll taste of ash. You and Alaric participate without telling each other our wishes. His wine tastes like honey. So does yours. You never say them aloud, but later that night, you lie curled together on the porch swing, fireflies orbiting like lazy stars, and he murmurs, "I wished this would last." You press your forehead to his. Mine was the same. Not dramatic, not fate-breaking, just enduring. That's the real magic now, you think. Not the kind that rips through centuries or burns down kingdoms, the kind that stays, that grows roots, that doesn't need to be chased or proven. One afternoon, a merchant passes through selling relics from the capital, old coins, tiny glass charms, and a pendant shaped like a phoenix. You freeze. It looks almost exactly like the amulet from your first death, the one Seraphine held over your body, the one etched with runes that meant eternal return. You don't touch it, but you do ask the merchant where he found it. He shrugs. It washed ashore after a storm, near the city ruins. Alaric notices the tension in your shoulders. He distracts you by loudly arguing with the merchant over the price of a broken music box, eventually buying it for double just to make you laugh. You do. But later, that night, you ask, "Do you ever wonder if we missed something?" He doesn't pretend not to understand. He looks out the window for a long moment. Then he says, "We survived. That's enough." You nod, but you don't sleep easily. Dreams shift. The peaceful field is gone. Now you're in a white corridor with mirrors that don't reflect you, only other versions of yourself. One wears a crown. One wears blood. One stands alone on a cliff. Only one looks back. She smiles. You wake with her smile burned into your brain. The next morning, you write her a letter. You don't know if she'll ever read it. Maybe she's a memory, maybe a version that never was. Still, you tuck the letter into the hollow of the oldest tree in your orchard. Because if you've learned anything across your lifetimes, it's this. Love isn't always spoken in the right time, but it is always heard. One day, a stranger comes into the shop. Tall, gray eyes, wears gloves even in warm weather. He lingers near the section labeled Books That Remember You, picks up one and says, "This used to be mine." You stare at him. "I don't think that's possible." He smiles, soft and knowing. "Oh, I think you'll find, in this life, all things are possible." Your heart skips. He doesn't buy the book. He simply nods and leaves. Alaric watches him go from the porch. "Who was that?" You shake your head. "Maybe someone I knew. Or someone I was meant to." The next day, the book he touched is gone. You don't chase it. Because the truth is, not every thread from your past needs tying. Some get to drift. Some lives were just meant to brush shoulders. Summer returns with a vengeance, and your village holds the Festival of the Veil, a tradition where people dress in white and dance to honor the ones they used to be. You wear a plain gown. Alaric wears a mask shaped like a fox. When you take his hand and twirl through the field, some brush shoulders. Two dance like you've known each other for centuries. You and Alaric exchange a glance. "I suppose we just have the rhythm down." That night, you sit beneath the stars and watch them wheel above you, endless and unworried. Alaric lies beside you, hands laced in yours, murmuring constellations and half-remembered myths. You ask, "What do you think comes next?" He says, "1,000 tomorrows."
You rest your head against his chest and whisper, "That sounds exhausting." He chuckles, "But better than 1,000 yesterdays." And just like that, you believe it. You believe in a future not written by bloodlines or stars, not crafted by curses or queens, but shaped by quiet mornings, by stubborn bees, by books left out in the moonlight, by ivy on the porch, and letters tucked in trees. This is your new myth, and you are writing it together. It begins with a bell. Not the village bell, no. This one is thinner, higher. A chime like silver raindrops on glass. You're shelving a book titled How to Fall in Love Without Spontaneous Combustion when it sounds from the orchard behind your shop. You and Alaric exchange a glance. I didn't know we had a bell. We don't. Which is a lie. You did. But you'd forgotten. Until now. You find it at the center of the trees, hanging from a branch that shouldn't exist, an arc of blossom that smells like memory and something almost sacred. The bell sways without wind, perfectly polished, reflecting not your face, but Seraphine's. Only for a moment. Then the image ripples and fades. Alaric touches your hand. Should we take it down? You hesitate. No, it's not a warning. It's a door. He nods, like he already knew. Because you feel it too. Something shifting. A loop finishing, a tether loosening. That night, you light 3 candles. One for who you were, one for who you are, and one for the version still unsure. You let them burn low, pooling wax like melted time. Alaric doesn't ask questions. He simply sits with you. Silence has always been safe between you two. By morning, the bell is gone. You half expect to feel empty, like a thread has been cut. Instead, you feel full. The kind of full that follows a goodbye you didn't know you needed. People in the village begin dreaming again. Vivid dreams. One tells you she met a man in red who gave her a feather and told her, "You almost didn't exist, you know, but someone stitched you back into the world." Another dreams of a lake where the stars sang to her and said, "Thank the girl with the inked heart." No one says your name, but you know. The magic you tried so hard to leave behind is not gone. It's simply growing elsewhere. You're not the center of it anymore. And isn't that beautiful? One afternoon, you find Alaric writing in a book you don't recognize. Leather-bound, gold-trimmed. "What's that?" you ask. He smiles. "Our story." You raise a brow. "Bit egotistical, isn't it?" He says, "I've lived 1,000 lives to get here. I want to remember why it was worth it." You sit beside him and read the pages. They begin with, "I met you when the world was fire, and I loved you still." Your throat tightens. Later, you add your own line, "I stayed when the world turned soft, and I loved you more." He kisses your ink-stained fingers. You spend more and more days barefoot, unconcerned with the rules of your old lives. You eat apples straight from the tree. You let the bees land on your skin. You don't flinch. The villagers begin calling you the Orchard Witch. It's not meant unkindly. They come for advice, stories, recipes. Alaric carves you a walking stick you don't need just so people will take your title seriously. You whack him gently with it. He laughs like the boy who once kissed you in a mirror maze, bleeding and furious, and absolutely yours. Sometimes you miss that girl, but you don't mourn her. You thank her. You whisper, "You were strong, so I could be soft." The land thanks you in return. The bees thrive, the ivy blooms even in frost. And one morning, a book appears on your shelf with no author, no title. You open it to find one sentence. You did it. That night, you dance in the kitchen with Alaric, barefoot and off-key as a storm taps at the windows and the fire hums low. You lean your head against his chest. I think we've finally been forgiven. He twirls you lazily and says, I think we finally forgave ourselves. Outside, the trees sway like they agree. There is no more prophecy, no more running, only rhythm, only love that arrived, stayed, and bloomed. And you, at the heart of it. You fall asleep to rain, beeswax, and the sound of Alaric whispering something in a language you never learned but always understand. It sounds like home. The last summer comes like honey, slow, golden, and sticking to everything. You wake one morning to the smell of sweet grass and sunlight thick enough to taste. The windows open, the breeze carries lavender, and Alaric's arm is slung lazily across your waist. I think time forgot us, you whisper. He stirs, presses a kiss to your shoulder. Good, let it. The shop slows in the heat. Fewer visitors, more long afternoons with your feet up, books half read in your lap, and bees buzzing in low, happy circles outside. The days stretch in gentle loops. There's a sense, unspoken but heavy, that something is finishing, not ending, just completing itself. The kind of hush you feel in the final line of a favorite story. One morning, the girl who asked if books whisper returns, now tall enough to see over the counter. She brings a bouquet of wildflowers and says, I'm leaving for the city. You smile. You'll make the libraries jealous. She grins. I'll write. I'll send dreams. And you know she means it. After she goes, you and Alaric sit on the porch in silence. She was just a child when we came, you murmur. And now she walks into a new life. You both sip tea. Neither says it aloud, but you feel it, that the world no longer spins around you. The prophecy is gone, the threads have settled, and oh, what a gift that is. One afternoon, a knock comes on the door. It's the masked stranger again. Only this time, no gloves, no riddles. He hands you a note, bows, and walks away. The paper is soft, a single line written in silver ink. The balance has held. Thank you for letting go. You stand very still. Alaric reads over your shoulder and nods. It's done, then. You fold the paper, press it to your lips once, and place it into the fire. Smoke curls upward like a ribbon set free. You sleep deeply that night. No dreams, no echoes, just the kind of rest people call peace. In the days that follow, you find small signs. The orchard blossoms twice. The bees produce honey that glows faintly under moonlight. And the ivy on the porch blooms in midnight blue, a color no one's seen before. A local artist paints it, names it rebirth. You don't argue. One day, Alaric hands you a map, not of the world, of your house. Each room is labeled with a memory. The kitchen, first burnt bread. The bedroom, confessions whispered like apologies. The orchard, where we finally stayed. You trace it with your finger and say, "We're cartographers now?" He replies, "We've always been, only now we draw from joy." You decide to close the shop for a season. Hang a sign, "Gone adventuring," back when the bees tell us so. You walk the coast, you collect shells, you name rocks, or Alaric names them worse things just to make you laugh. One night, you sit beside a bonfire and write the last page in the book you've both been keeping. It reads, "We came back. We stayed. We loved. We lived. Maybe that's all there ever was to do." You don't need more than that. Because now when you close your eyes, you don't fall into old memories. You fall into the breath beside you, the heartbeat steady against your palm, the echo of your name said with love, not longing. And you know, finally, you are free. So, now the story closes, not with thunder or tragedy, but with soft ivy climbing the porch of a cottage you built together. You can still hear the bees, can't you? Still feel the sun-dappled pages, the soft clink of teacups, the press of warm fingertips tracing back through centuries just to land here, now, where the world has no need for destiny anymore. Only presence. Only peace. Alaric sleeps beside you. You can imagine it, the way his arm curls beneath his head, the quiet snore he insists is not a snore, the way he always rolls towards you like gravity has finally made up its mind. The story you lived spanned lifetimes. It broke curses, rewrote stars, stitched souls back together. But this moment, the stillness, the breath, the belonging, is the true miracle. It's the one no prophecy saw coming, the kind of love no fate could force. Just you, just him, just now. So, let your thoughts soften like candle wax. Let the orchard hum somewhere far off in the distance. Let the ink of your story dry gently in the margins of your dreams. You've journeyed so far, and now you get to rest. Let it all fade, slow, steady, one heartbeat after another. Good night.